Hi, my name is Moritz Janisch. I'm a German filmmaker, and in this video I will be taking a look at this little 4K camera. It's the Panasonic LX100. The Panasonic Lumix LX100 is a point-and-shoot camera that can record 4K video at 24 and 25 frames per second, as well as maximum 60 frames per second in Full HD. The LX100 has been around for 2 years, so you might be thinking, why the hell is he reviewing it now? What took him so long? The point is, I already did a few tests 2 years ago, and to be honest, I didn't really stick around with it because the GH4 was new, other new cameras were coming up, like the A7 cameras, so I wasn't really focused on such a tiny camera. But recently when I traveled to Indonesia, I thought I need a small camera to quickly grab a few shots, a few photos, and I decided to take the LX100. Why? Because it has a manual focus ring, which is pretty cool, and most point-and-shoot cameras don't have it, it's all automatic. And as you can see, it also has an aperture ring, which is pretty cool. Which brings me to the next point. It can shoot at an aperture of f1.7 until f2.8, which is pretty cool because you get that nice shallow depth of field, which means if you keep your object in focus, the background will be blurry. The only downside is that you cannot shoot a flat picture profile, for example vlog or something like that. But what do you expect? I mean, it's not meant for professionals, it's just a point-and-shoot camera. But to be honest, the look the camera has is pretty cool, the colors are good, and you can still correct some in post. When filming in Indonesia and Turkey for weeks, the camera didn't fail once. It always worked, even though the temperature was between 0 degrees Celsius and 35 degrees with high humidity. This might look like a weak little piece of gear, but it can actually handle most weather conditions very well. The camera is not only good if you want to shoot some travel videos, but it's also pretty awesome when it comes to capturing B-roll. I used this camera recently on an interview shoot as a second camera. For example, if your A camera is a GH4 or an A7, you can actually use this as a B camera. The only downside though is it has a 15-minute recording limit. What that means is the recording will stop after 15 minutes automatically. Main issues are rolling shutter if you shoot handheld, which most people will do. It's called a point and shoot, so you're gonna point and shoot, or in this case, point and record video. But the important thing you need to know is you cannot plug in an external microphone. You can only record audio with the integrated mic, which is fine, but of course you wouldn't use it for something professional. I mean, if you want to shoot some family videos, I guess it's fine, but if you want to shoot a proper interview, you wouldn't use this as your A camera. The continuous autofocus in video mode doesn't perform very well. In fact, it bumps around, which rather ruins the shot instead of improving it. So I rather recommend just focusing manually when recording video. The camera has internal image noise reduction, which works pretty well. The low light performance is good as long as you don't shoot above ISO 1600. One of the main reasons why we use this camera is also the time-lapse feature. It's tiny, which means you can set it up somewhere and then it just shoots time-lapses. It can be captured in 4K, even though I have to say, if you just use the internal capture, which means it's gonna save a video sequence, it actually looks more like 1080p, even though it's saved in Ultra HD resolution. So that's a little bit weird, but at the same time it can also save the whole sequence as raw pictures, for example, which I did, and then I have more possibilities to adjust the colors, the exposure, etc. all in post. So what's the best thing about this camera? Definitely the overall image, how it looks, the colors, the depth of field. It's pretty awesome. Don't forget it has an aperture of f1.7. Of course it's not fixed, it goes up to 2.8. But to be honest, how many point and shoot cameras have that? So that's pretty cool. And then the look, it's just like the GH4, the colors, the depth of field, all that. So if you like that kind of look, you're really gonna like the LX100. This is actually the first time I ever bought a camera that already has been around for 2 years, which is even kind of crazy to me, especially considering how some brands like Sony release a new camera almost every month now, and they are all good, but it's kind of hard to keep up. So I was even more surprised when I take a look at this camera that it still performs so well even after 2 years. I know I said it a lot now, but it has been around for 2 years. And it's still pretty good. Of course, it doesn't have all the professional features like zebra and focus peaking, but who needs that in a point-and-shoot camera, to be honest? I just want to grab a few quick shots. I don't need to change lenses, which is pretty cool. I have a wide open aperture, which means if I want to shoot in low light, I can get a nice shallow depth of field and I can capture more because it's actually brighter. I hope you enjoyed this little review of the LX100, so always make sure to compare cameras yourself, maybe check other reviews, and yeah, that's it from me and I'll see you next time. Bye.